Hello and welcome to Comic Solving Problems. I'm Stephen Allen.
And I'm Eric McElroy. Good day, good morning, and good night.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Yes, welcome to Comic Solving Problems, a show we are live at 9 o'clock in the UK time, hopefully, unless something has gone disastrously wrong in the previous 8 hours or so. But we recorded this live earlier today. It is about today's hot news, hot problems that we solve as comedians. So thank you for joining us for that.
They might have gone cold by the time this thing goes out, but they were hot when we were recording it. Yeah, so we recorded in the morning, but what I like to say is this goes out at 9 in the evening, but it's morning somewhere. So somewhere on the globe, we are doing this live.
Yes, this is breaking news.
Is that how that works? Not sure.
This just in, yeah, kind of thing. Could do that. It's nice. But yeah, welcome to the show. Please make sure to like the YouTube thingy, subscribe, contribute to our efforts in the Ko-fi link, which does scroll across the bottom if you be so inclined. And yeah, we're here to keep doing what we've been doing, which is solve all the problems. And we're down to the final 4, which we're going to address today.
I can start off if you'd like. This is actually a return to the original problem. So the reason we started doing all this was because COVID kicked in. This virus had decided, I'm not having it anymore. There was a virus that I think newspapers called Disease X before it actually got all of its proper names. And I remember doing open mic night new material stuff. I was doing loads of new material back in 2019. And this was in the newspapers, and I was joking about it, like, oh, if there's a disease that you could beat by washing your hands and it manages to, like, kill us all, it's our own fault. Yeah. I wonder how that turns out. Not so well, because this virus just thought, you know, these humans, they're a bit too much. Let me step up and have a crack at this. Well, now we've got a fungus to worry about. Worrisome, deadly fungus spreading throughout the US at alarming rate. And that's basically what happened, is that things in the virus world got a little bit too fancy. Like, they were showing off, and the fungus thought, all right, hold my beer. Beer, which we make, by the way. So fungi could be pretty serious. And I understand that this is worrying for some people. For people like me, an introvert, the lockdown wasn't as bad as, you know, I've often said the lockdown was basically like an introvert made a wish on a Zoltar machine. Because you didn't have to touch people, you didn't have to see people. It was all right. I mean, they always say as you get older, you become more introverted. And it's true. I was already really introverted, and now just the idea of having to leave the house. Oh, it's a bit of a schlep to come down to the shed in case I accidentally see a neighbor. So you're lucky you've got me here, basically. So yeah, and also I was thinking this about being an introvert. The only times I've been extroverted are when I've been like off my face on drugs. And at least I have the decency to feel bad about it the next day. Extroverts, ponder. Now, what we do need to worry about in this, as you can see down the bottom, it's drug resistant. And this is because of how we treat things. We have the same problem with bacteria, that if you use some sort of antibiotic, the ones that are left are resistant to antibiotics and they reproduce. The same thing happened with rats around Parliament. They were poisoning the rats, which means the only ones that didn't die were the ones that had quite a good tolerance to poison. And the newspapers were saying there were poison-tolerant rats, which is why I've never been in favour of the plan down in the southwest to shoot badgers because of the TB, because at some point we'll have bulletproof badgers. And then we'll be in trouble.
Science.
So this is from the article. This particular fungus is called Candida auris. And Candida, as I'm sure you're all aware, comes from the Greek for white. So that means white auris. Like, I nearly drove one of those. This is how close I nearly came to dying. We eventually went for the Yaris, but we went for a white Yaris. I've got a white Igo. I nearly had the full set. If I could get white Auris, literally, I think you get bonus points from Toyota. Here's a picture of it, by the way. That's what it looks like in a Petri dish. The only reason I'm showing that is just because we might as well start the lab leak theory now. Throw some red meat to the people that we know might be watching. Speaking of red meat thing, here's the bit where it says, is this like COVID or not? Well, this only causes severe illness in people with weakened immune system. So we'll just say that so that they can all go, they can do that. The thing that I worry about is, where's the bit? The thing that I worry about is this, the attitude that we'll have. An expert said, we don't want people who watch The Last of Us to think we're all going to die. And we are a bit like that. A little bit of news about a fungus that's doing well, and the newspapers say, oh, it's a deadly thing. It's a bit like COVID. But the people who watch The Last of Us want to think that we are going to die. That's why people watch stuff like that, isn't it? Because you get all excited. Oh, we might all die. I don't do scary TV for that reason. I don't need that extra anxiety. There's a news story about apparently the scariest movie on Netflix has people hiding behind the sofa. I ain't going to watch that. My sofa's next to the wall. I don't want to have to shift that every single time I get terrified. Also, I don't believe that that's a scary film. Because if you look at it, it's called Old People. And I just think Generation Z are terrified of old people. They find them triggering. They use full stops and words that they find problematic. So what do we do with this fungus, which is everywhere? If you look at it, it's on people's skin. It's throughout the body. It's not a threat to a lot of us. So loads of people carry it. And there's been a huge increase of up to 95% of infections. There's only one thing we can do. Avoid people. We're back. Yes. So there we go. We're up to date. And if anyone needs me, I'll be in the shed.
Yep, there you go. Very interesting piece, very informative.
Thank you.
Humorous at times, even. Couple corrections.
Yeah.
Well, one correction. Petri dish.
Petri dish.
Petri.
That really is the niche version of that "Let's Call the Whole Thing Off" song. You say Petri, I say Petri.
And if anybody doubts how much of an introvert you are, that you put this on as some sort of persona, we've known each other. I mean, I think possibly about 20 years.
Yeah, we are old.
Yeah. We've done numerous Edinburgh shows together. We lived together in Edinburgh during the festival. And how many times have I been to your house in that 20-year period?
I tend to not measure it in terms of absolute numbers. I measure it as percentage increase. How many times you've been to my house now in comparison to what it was like a few weeks ago? And there's been an infinity % increase, which obviously is terrifying. To the introverts, you'll know how terrifying that is. That you've now been to my house and you know that the sofa is against the wall. These jokes aren't made up. That's true. If I need to hide behind the sofa.
I'm behind the wall right now.
Move the sofa. I need to hide.
Little ASMR action. So there we go.
You've seen the place. You've met my son.
Yes, I did. He's real, and and he's quite affable.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously he doesn't get that from me. That's fine.
Yeah, that was the point I was making. I think fungus is grosser than a chest disease. I'd rather have the old coat than just like bumps and it's like soggy bread. Ugh.
Yeah. No, I totally know what you mean. I'd order them virus, bacteria, fungus in terms of grossness.
Yeah.
So if it's
definitely
going to be a
pandemic,
first. Yeah, you want the virus, of course you do.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm sitting this one out. I'm not going to do the fungus thing.
Oh, good. You're going to wait for the next one, which is probably bacteria.
That's okay. I can do bacteria. Fungus gets in your toes.
But it is useful for making, as you say, bread and beer. It's our own stupid fault.
That's true.
Back in ancient Greece, in Egypt, when we were inventing bread and beer, their scientists spent too long thinking if they could and not long enough if they should.
Yeah. When we were doing
back in ancient Egypt.
With our Egyptian ancestry.
Well, with, just humanity. When humanity were, yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of fungus, it's a nice segue into my story. This is a big one. It's a big one for people who are following the news today. It's one that's been teased by somebody who's been a big part of our lives. He's somebody that is a controversial figure. He's a hard right figure. People say he maybe has had a lot of undue influence on the American and world politique. But it looks like today is going to be the day that we learn more because of this announcement that we saw here. Rupert Murdoch is getting married again. See how I made it sound like I was going to talk about Trump getting arrested?
I thought you
and
were,
then I switched. It's comedy, guys. Rupert Murdoch is getting married for was it fifth or sixth time? Because the headline was blocked there. Fifth time at just a wee age of 92. Oh, he's really getting his groove on now. I mean, it does show you what happens when you are injecting the blood of young children. It gets you horny. His wife is younger than him, which is disgusting. She's 60, which I think is so gross because that's like old. So why is he marrying a 60-year-old? He should be going for no. I mean, if you got that much money, don't go over 35. Leonardo DiCaprio, this thing. Stick to your teens, legal teens. Enjoy your 90s, your 90s. He says he hopes this is the last time, and he called it a relationship that will last for the second half of his life, which just proves to you he is a lizard because he's going to live to be 184.
Wow. You feel sorry for her because she'll have to. Actually, there's no way that she's
not going to last that time. She'll be. We've already pre-written the story about his sixth wife. That's going to be released later on this year.
Yeah,
he's going faster as he goes up. But the good thing is Jerry Hall's back on the market. Hello.
Fair enough. Yeah, I like someone named after a big building.
I know her house where she got burgled back in the day. I know where that is.
Yeah.
Just saying.
What have you got all that Rolling Stone memorabilia behind you? How'd you get all that? Interesting.
Oh, just saying. So there we go. So there's going to be some more news coming up about that other evil guy. But I just thought it was congratulations, the future Mr. and Mrs. Murdoch.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you were doing the comparison between him and Donald Trump getting arrested, there could have been a comparison joke about loss of freedom.
Yeah.
He's getting married. Just saying that. Also, small correction. Politique. Not politique. No, I know you were saying the French version. I know she's 66. Of course, she's younger than he is. Not just because that's what rich men are like, but not that many women who are his age who would be able to.
Well, there's loads of women his age. My mother-in-law is at a home full of them. She's his age. She's single.
There's still not loads of them, though. I know what you mean. There's probably more of them than there are men.
Yes.
But there are loads more people younger than that age just due to the population curve. But the idea of him marrying a 35-year-old wouldn't happen because 35-year-olds are technically millennials. And as we saw earlier in the show, they find old people scary. So we need to bear that in mind.
But you know what helps get over that fear? Money.
Sweet, sweet money.
When the couch is made of gold bullion, get behind the couch, Grandpa.
Yeah. One correction, bullion. We got a new thing. We
haven't had a thing for a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. So excellent. Yeah, I mean, we look forward to seeing that divorce whenever that happens. I mean, how is he still that rich after that many divorces?
Yeah. Well, it's all about the prenup.
Yeah. Which these days, I mean, you must just have a photocopied version. You know, like worksheets in school have been photocopied so many times. They've just got the blurriness around the images. His prenups must be that.
He's got them on like a pad, like raffle tickets. Just tears one out.
Here you go, love.
All right. The prenup my wife and I have is just how we're going to divide up our debt.
Same thing, really. It's, hey, money's money, even if it's negative money.
Money's money.
Yeah, bear that in mind. I've got another thing to do. I wanted just to go through some of the things from the Daily Star, just to chuck some silly news in, if you don't mind.
It's always good. Yeah.
So some of the, they're just silly. I'm trying to find the silliest story. You go to the Daily Star for it, don't you? There's this one. A female teacher had sex with teen student after seducing him with Call of Duty, or as I call it now, Call of Booty. That's all I've got on that one. We also could look at, that's all I got. What else is there in that story? It's a terrible story. Royal news. Prince Andrew will dress up as royal for the day at special event with King Charles. That's nice, isn't it? I mean, I understand that he's technically royal, regardless of what he's done. He's in the family, royal family. The clue's in the title, I suppose. But also seems to be a wrong un. So you don't want him to have all of the benefits of being a royal. Here's my suggestion of the compromise. He can dress up as a royal, but it has to be one from the olden days. Richard the Lionheart vibe, or come dressed as Henry VIII. So we'll have like stupid velvety things, frilly bits, wearing tights, exactly dressed as our king will be dressed for the coronation. Let's not pretend that they've moved on too much. What's that?
But he should get the olden days, how they'd have the cup for the old, the downstairs bits, cog piece, but with a lock on it, just to keep everyone's
safety.
because there'll be children at the wedding.
There be children there. Lock up Andrew. Who? And we've never addressed this as an issue. Why do they call that a cod piece? Like, literally, if there's one part of the body you don't want synonymous with fish. But anyway, moving on. Now, this is a great story. A Tinder dater who called a bloke fatty. Basically, a couple go on a date, and then he's not interested, so she sends him 1,000 messages of abuse. 1,000.
Wow.
And then I was realizing that's not that much of a shocking story. It reads like it, but then you know what people message like these days? Like, hi, bing, just saying, bing, wonder if you can meet up at, bing, like, stop, just send one paragraph. Have you heard of paragraphs? So actually 1,000 messages is probably like 3 words the way people text these days. This story worries me. This is about a South American cartel that had £4 million worth of gold bars seized at Heathrow Airport. It's the shape of these bars. There's one down the bottom, number 46, shaped like a doorstop. That seems pretty bling. I like that. The others, yeah, interesting shapes. But look at these love heart ones. You're taking the mickey with those, because if you have to smuggle any of these in nature's pockets, you are not going to feel romantic after that. What's the thing they say about putting things up there? Always do it with a flared bottom. Otherwise, you might end up with a flared bottom. However, that's all that I could find on the Daily Star for stupid, weird news stories. But you go to a different newspaper, and they help us out today. Nicola Sturgeon gives 2 cents on whether we should go braless on Mondays. I don't know what she said. I don't know if she was in favour. I don't know if she was against. But I do have a mental image that involves her shouting the word freedom. So we probably need to move on. Oof.
Well, it is a Tuesday, so you know what that means.
Mondays. Mondays.
Oh,
Stop.
sorry.
Mondays. She's in favour of independence, so...
Right. Fair enough. Well, thank you for that. Those are always the hard-hitting stories that, you know,
Oh, yeah.
keep the world going round. The final one, and this is a dangerous one because it could be breaking news today. It probably isn't. We all know, we'll go into the headline in a second, which is my favorite part of this, but you alluded to it earlier about Trump getting indicted and having to go in for the indictment where he's going to be basically arrested. And if he was any normal person, he'd be doing the perp walk. The reason that this case is basically financial fraud. That's the key to focus on. Financial fraud. There's nothing salacious. There's no adult workers involved. There's no mushroom penis sex involved. It's just a financial fraud case. It's not. It's all that we're talking about is the fact that Stormy Daniels. But he claimed he was going to get arrested today. So we're recording this before the day is over. So he might be arrested by the end of the day. The news now is saying that he just did that to rile support, and he probably won't get arrested if it happens until next week. But the moment I'm looking for is this in the headline. Me and Michael Cohen, both who's a former lawyer for Trump, waiting for that mugshot. That's the picture I want. That is going to get framed in front of the fireplace, in the toilet, in the bedroom, on the ceiling. Just Trump derangement syndrome. Fucking bring it. Yeah, baby. It's going to be great. I mean, it'd be interesting to see how much of the makeup he wears, like the bronzer.
Yeah.
Will he bronze up for the mugshot? I mean, what's the etiquette there?
I imagine so. Are they the ones like in The Usual Suspects where they've got the height behind you?
Yeah. Because he lies about his height as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And they measure your penis.
I think you were arrested by not a real police officer. Actually, no, you were arrested by a real police officer. If there's one thing we've learned today, you were arrested by a Met police officer.
Yeah, I'm not their type. But it looks like the problem is this is the weakest of the cases that might be brought against him, because there's the voter influence thing that he tried to do in Georgia. There's stealing documents in Mar-a-Lago. There's inciting an insurrection to take from the government of the United States. Then there's the porn star payment. But it would be good. I mean, it would be justice if this was the first. I mean, you just hope. And there's a lot of people on the right and some of our friends who are like, well, this is just a political trial. This would never happen to a Democrat. Turn on the old Google kids and look up John Edwards, who was a presidential candidate back in the day. He was a senator, and he paid hush money to his girlfriend, and he was indicted for that and tried. Now, he did win at the trial because the problem is in proving intent. So he did get away with it, but he was tried.
We don't know if Trump might get away with it if tried. Yeah. I mean, I agree. Of all of the crimes, this is the one that you should kind of get away with it because what else you meant? If you've got a porn star mistress, yeah, pay some money, pay some hush money. If anything, it's investing money back into the arts.
But that's not the crime. The crime is that he put it in the wrong column when he wrote down what it was for. He had a whole column for porn money hush.
Not the first time I tried to put it in the wrong column. If anal joke, thank you.
The porn hush. I'm glad you highlighted what that was. In case anyone didn't understand that. Did you understand what that was? Anyway.
Yeah.
It was wrong. Yeah. He's getting done for tax fraud, not for schlepping the porn star, which is fair enough.
Accountancy.
Poor accountancy. Quality. I mean, you can't blame a guy for shagging a porn star. I mean, that's in the Constitution.
It's the American dream, isn't it?
It's what the Second Amendment is about. It's about shooting your...
Well, delightful. There we go.
So hopefully we will have that mugshot by next week. That's what I'm hoping for.
On mugshots as well, is there like an arrest number down the bottom? I've never been arrested, certainly in America. Because the internet will just find some sort of symbolism in the numbers that QAnon will say. Oh, I shouldn't have even said it because YouTube will be upset. But they'll find some sort of link that go, that number refers to the Illuminati. Yeah.
The other thing that's been fun to watch this week is that he did call for protests, essentially re-inciting violence, and no one so far has come.
It's going to be a big week. Look, there's an arrest warrant for Putin and possibly an arrest of Donald Trump.
Yeah. And Boris is going to have a fun Wednesday talking about parties. So it's good times. It's good times.
It really is like, season 8, where they are getting fairly desperate to try and do stuff with the original stars again. They're all back.
Some of them are getting married again.
Yeah. Good time.
Cool thing.
But there we go.
There we go. So we should be back next Tuesday, or if not, the Tuesday after that.
Yeah. And at some point we should do a survey of if moving the broadcast to Wednesday night would help.
Yes. I'll have to look at that as well.
Yeah. Because we could still record it on whichever day. If people, the system now plays itself out. I don't have to be anywhere near it. So if that would work.
Well, we did record this in 1999.
Yeah. I look a lot older now.
I love that Saddam Hussein.
That's the thing. You could record this in 1989. Actually, no. You could record it in 2008 and just do loads of jokes about banks going under and governments bailing them out. We'd still be on the money. So why not?
Well, not on the money.
As it turns out. Yeah. Sweet. Well, we're up to date.
There we go. Yeah, we will see you next time. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for watching this from Comic Solving Problems.
And if you feel like it, go ahead and like the video.
Or subscribe. Commitment.